Yes.
We are now getting ready to go live over on YouTube, guys. Look, if you're looking to look in on tonight's show, Sports Talk NOLA, go right over to YouTube right now, and you'll get access. You can look at the lovely Miss Neek, look at myself, look inside of our studios. She's sipping on something right now. I'm drinking Kentwood water. I'm going to tell y'all what I'm sipping on. We are actually live right now over on Sports Talk NOLA's YouTube channel. For those on YouTube, you've been looking for us. We've been missing. It was Ms. Neek's fault. I know she just told everybody over on the podcast it was my fault because I was asleep. I did go to sleep after we put our beat down on Tampa. I did. I'm not going to front. But it was Ms. Neek's fault because all she had to do was call me and say, you ready to do the show? She didn't want to do the show because she was really all excited about how the Saints won. And she predicted the Saints to lose, by the way. She did.
I did predict the loss.
It was my fault because I was asleep.
You went to
I did go to sleep after we put our beat down on Tampa. I did. I'm not going to front. That going on. Focus all shit.
I'm not taking any of these charges. You are not going to give me these charges. Like, I was ready. Ladies and gentlemen, I want you to understand my dedication last week, okay? Because I know that I've had some things going on and I missed the show, but I was actually in the city of New Orleans, ready to rock and roll. I was right down the street, less than 20 minutes away from J. Orleans, ready to go in front of my computer, camera on, makeup done, ready to rock. Then we were actually supposed to do it this week, and it got rescheduled 3 times. And 3 times that it got rescheduled. It had nothing to do with me. So I'm not taking that charge, okay? But I am still very happy about these wins. What are we, 6 now? 6 in a row right now?
I thought it was 6 in a row, but aren't we 7-2 right now?
We're 7-2 right now.
Yes, and it is 6 in a row. 6 in a row. Congratulations to the New Orleans Saints. 2 back-to-back wins. I'm going to tell you this. If we both have to predict that the Saints are going to lose for them to perform how they performed last week and to follow it up defensively what we saw today, I could just tell you the Saints are going to lose the rest of the games for the rest of the year and just be wrong. That's what that's what it takes.
Ain't going to win near another game, y'all. Ain't going to win near another. It is not going to win. No, I'm not going to say that because I don't want the universe to confuse what I'm saying right now. But I am sipping. I can't tell y'all what I'm sipping because they're not paying us. But after seeing my quarterback in that post-game interview and knowing that he is really honestly just putting on a face, that anxiety has me worried about what's going to happen with him going forward. So it's not Kentwood, but it's doing the job.
Great win, but at what cost? Tonight, we find out that Drew Brees' ribs injured. It's an issue where there may be more than one. We have no idea what's really going on. But the Saints did win 27-13 today. They did what they needed to do. They were a 9-point favorite. The game was played in the Louisiana Superdome. Very proud of the defense, and we'll get into the specifics of the game. But after the game, the bigger story, and I know that usually in the NFL, winning is the big story. But Drew Brees, first ballot Hall of Famer, Saints are having an incredible season. They right now sit atop the NFC, the number 1 seed in the NFC. Drew Brees has been playing a long, long time. And I'm sure he knows that the end of the road is coming. And without speculating on what's going on with Drew, and y'all know that's my dog. I get accused of defending him to the end. Y'all be out here tripping. I ain't got time for y'all. But you can look at the concern on his face. You can hear the concern in his post-game conference or press conference, excuse me. We may be looking at a Drew Brees that might be realizing that he could be out for an extended period of time. And I won't say the rest of the season because I just don't want to say that. But it's not looking too good.
I I am concerned with his ginger approach to the way that he addressed his injuries today. Some of the things that he said in his post game, that he'd never endured anything like this before. We've seen some pretty substantial injuries on Drew, even dating back to the Chargers. So that was a notable statement that he made. I'm just really perplexed into figuring out exactly what he's feeling, because he's saying that it's not pain, but he is saying that it is something of concern, and he does not know how long it's going to take for him to get back to 100%. So that in itself is scary at times to me. With that said, we got a number 2 and a number 3. Our number 2 is not really a number 2.
No.
And our number 3 looks nervous.
Okay.
And that's my opinion. In
my opinion, I agree.
I on Facebook today, we were kind of chatting about it, and I just feel like he's apprehensive because he got so much slack for all of the interceptions that he threw last season. Not recognizing that he's behind a much more elite offensive line. He is still hesitating on throwing the ball. He's holding the ball way too long. And I think it's really because of his apprehension. He's just waiting for just his man to have no coverage, and he's like a surefire going to hit, his target, instead of just trusting that his receivers are going to make a play on the ball. And that in itself is going to stop him from bridge watering us to the playoffs. So I think it's Sean Payton has a stretch in front of him to kind of pull Winston out of that. But what do you think?
I liken it to what you saw with Jameis, well, not Jameis, excuse me, Teddy Bridgewater, who also was hurt today, left the game in the Bucs and the Panthers early. The Bucs did win that game, by the way, for those who are trying to keep track of what's going on in the division. But I liken it to last year's game when Drew went out in LA. And you saw Teddy come in, and Teddy didn't look good. And I can say from previous understanding of what Sean Payton does with his quarterbacks is the install is heavy with the guy that's playing the game, the number one guy. And so there's not much he can change from that play call sheet that he has on the sideline. You have to run what's there. Now, you may run more of something that works or less of something that would work more with Drew Brees, but he's going to run what's on that play call sheet. And it just so happened to work in the Saints' benefit that, one, this wasn't last week against the Bucs. This was against the 49ers, a team who they themselves have been decimated with injuries this year. You're at home. Drew Brees was able to get you a significant, very significant lead going into that, but I'd say very significant, 7 points against a team who's struggling, I think was sufficient. And so Taysom Hill, the guy that is the Swiss Army knife that can do a lot, all purpose, for instance, you saw in the fourth quarter, the Saints kind of leaned on him and almost, wildcat, you can call it option-based football. It is option-based football, but you allowed him to basically just keep the ball and run the clock out. I think Sean just wanted to get out of the game, try to understand that we maybe without Drew for the foreseeable future, and put in a more friendly game plan for a Jameis Winston / Taysom Hill going forward. So I think much like you saw last year, you look at Teddy's first appearance wasn't that great. The Saints understood what Teddy did well. Teddy was a part of the game plan and say, hey, I like this, I don't like that. And they came out and executed. You'll see the same in Jameis. And yes, you're right. I do think that Jameis understands the significance of the spot that he's in. 7-2 Saints team, and they have Super Bowl aspirations, and you don't have an excuse. The offensive line won't be an excuse. You're not in Tampa, quote unquote. This is a place that you can win in. And we saw him uncomfortable initially, but look for him to settle down and be a much better player next week, as he will be playing against a division foe, the Atlanta Falcons, a team that he also knows well because, of course, he played in Tampa. So look for him to play better next week. I did notice everything you said, however.
I mean, I do. I mean, I agree with what you're saying. The only thing that gives me pause is the dynamics, right? So you got to think about it. Like Teddy Bridgewater on the road against a very stout and efficient Aaron Donald and Rams defense. It came very abruptly. It came very early in the game. And here we have, Drew went out immediately. I was at that game. I was sick the entire game. So Drew went out early. Drew went out immediately. There was no, he's going to come back and get us a lead and then make a comfortable cushion for you. And then we go into the half and then you got time to regroup. And none of that happened with Teddy. So when we saw Teddy playing the way that we saw Teddy playing, I was more or less expecting that. Here, we're at home. We're in the cushion. There's some fans in there. You know what I'm saying? And we got fans. We at home. You got a nice lead. You go into the half. Up. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like you should have been a little more settled. Like I understand it's abrupt, but I just feel like you should have been a little more settled. And I know for me, I feel like I'm looking to give horse in the mouth because we did get the win. But at the same time, like to your point, we're relying on Taysom Hill so much that what happens? He coughs up the ball.
Right.
And because we were running the same plays over and over with Taysom Hill and it becomes predictable.
Right.
I just expected a little more because realistically, even though he's the number 3, he is the second best quarterback on our roster.
Right.
But he just has to get out of his own head. And I'm just concerned with that.
I think
he just had to adjust. With him, I think he's in his own head, and that could be a problem.
I think, being fair, that's Teddy's second year in the system last year. So having gone through 2 preseasons, having been through a full season of practice and understanding the system and what the Saints are asking him for, I think both quarterbacks eerily looked the same in the sense that you could tell that they were uncomfortable. It was also Teddy's first legitimate real action since his devastating injury that shortened his career with the Minnesota Vikings. And so I get it. I get it. You come into a spot, you don't want to lose the game. I look for him to turn it around. He better. I'm saying all the right stuff right now. He better because, him being a quarterback drafted number 1 overall, he's won the national title at Florida State when he was there. There's no better situation if you're Jameis Winston than the situation you're in right now. Now, I do want to say this. There's a guy that I want to see a lot more from, and I don't know what we're really getting from this guy. I want to get your opinion about Michael Thomas. I see you have on his number.
I thought he was gonna come out today and show up. I am concerned with his
energy.
Yeah, he's off.
Yep.
He's not locked in. He's not. There was a point in time where he was just really connected with everybody on the field.
Right.
It feels like he's just kind of there. He's not really getting to the ball like I would, like I'm used to seeing him get to the ball. So I don't know if it's just like a personnel issue and, personalities are conflicting, but I wasn't really too impressed with him. But what I think is happening is that the team itself is sending him a message.
Absolutely.
The message is like, yeah, you dope, but
life goes on. Right.
We really need you, bro. Like, we'll make it happen. And that in itself is dangerous for him in his career.
I absolutely agree with that. I think that is actually happening before our eyes. And again, it reminds me a lot of what happened with Jimmy Graham. Yeah. Same type of thing. Jimmy, dynamic. What we're going to do without Jimmy Graham, Duncan, the goalposts, energetic, everybody loving him, wearing his jersey. Sean Payton took him from a project style player to a legitimate, tight end. And while Jimmy has continued his career, Seattle, Green Bay, now Chicago, he hasn't mirrored the success he had with Drew Brees. And I'm not saying that Michael Thomas won't go on, and I'm not getting rid of him, but I'm not saying that if the Saints did decide to move on from him, trade him in the offseason, that he wouldn't go on to be successful. You just look at the list. We have a receiver and Brandon Cooks, who's gone on, and the Saints didn't miss a beat collectively as a team. You have Willie Snead, who's gone on. He's in Baltimore. The Saints haven't missed a beat, going forward. It's what they do. It's what they do. And so not only did the Saints move on from a Brandon Cooks, New England did. The Rams have.
And that's the thing, we get to the point where we start to disrespect the system, and
right.
it gets like that. I mean, it's characteristic across the league. I mean, as great as Tom Brady is, no disrespect to your QB, but much greater within the system. He was much greater within that Patriot system. You got to respect the system to a certain extent. You are an elite athlete. No one's taking that from you, but you got to respect the fact that there are people outside of yourself that are feeding you the ball, that are drafting up the plays, that are blocking for you, that are actually contributing to your success. And once you start to disrespect the system spits you out. And then you got to find your place. So then moving around the league and you're not getting that same support that puts you in that spot. And now this team is like, it's not what I thought he was. Boom, you're at the next one. And now you're switching teams, whereas you were with us for 5-6 years and they were calling you the best in the league. You got to respect the system. And they get so big-headed because we give them that shine and that glory, and you start to
see. You said it. It's no plainer than that. The politics of football is significant. It mirrors corporate America in a lot of ways. And while people like you, while they may appreciate the job that you do, these corporations will find someone else to get the job done. And if they have to get it done collectively, it may not be the same without you per se. They'll find a way to continue to get the job done. And so what I think he's realizing, as you just stated, like I had a situation here where I felt, maybe we were family and things were going in the right direction. And for whatever reason, the Saints ain't really putting up with my BS anymore, and they're still winning. And so it's like, okay, well, what does the future hold? And, let's be frank about it. If we could trade him and end up with 2 number ones, right, and the Saints could bring in a few more weapons, and maybe we could find a real successor, and we'll see what Jameis Winston can do to Drew Brees. I'm good with it. As much as I like Thomas, I think you can get his production collectively. I think that could happen.
I think so too, and I think what that does is it takes the spotlight off the superstar and it focuses more on the team. And when you focus more on the team starts to feel like everybody is a part of the collective success and everybody is pushing, as opposed to, we got Michael Thomas and Alvin Kamara, and those are the people that are bringing us to. So now you're starting to rebuild morale within the locker room. And sorry, Thomas, but you're ostracizing yourself at this point, because now it's like we on some gang. And you over here on some, you the main, and that's not how it works. You know what I'm saying? So you gotta really genuinely be careful. It's really, I understand that it's a business and it's about knowing your worth and all of that. And yes, you should be valuing for your worth and your respect and all of that, because you're producing, that's great. But at the same time, you have to find that gentle balance between teamwork and making sure that you establish who you are. I feel like with Kamara is showing a poise of a superstar that needs to be kind of distributed across the football league, because yes, he's still that dude. He's still out there getting it. He gunning, but he doesn't seem to push off this big head, and he's not getting into it with people on his squad. He's not, he's supporting, and he's being, an all-star player and touching the ball in any way that he needs to, because he knows that it contributes to the overall success, which in turn contributes to his own. I think we're what we're seeing with Thomas is starting to hear that, oh, he's the best in the league. He's number one receiver. He's the guy. He's the one. Thomas. What are they gonna do without him? And he's like, yeah, what y'all gonna do without me?
Right.
All right, show you.
Right.
You
Six wins, 6 in a row, 7-2. You know, you said it eloquently and you said it correctly. It's Alvin Kamara is a guy I thought about, you know, when you were speaking and you went right to him. You know, he had every reason in the world to be mad with the Saints and pissed off. You know, he had outperformed his contract. You know, it was coming down to the last minute to really re-up him and secure him this season. And he got it done. And, you know, you think about it, how miserable can you be making the money that Thomas is making? If you don't mind, you know, actually find, I think it's Sports Track. You can look at Thomas's current contract and then look at how unhappy he is. Like to me, that's scary when a guy can be making the amount of money, the contract on paper that he has, a situation where his team is 7-2 right now. They're winning. They're atop the NFC. You're making the money that you're making, and you have a problem. And this is not, you know, load on Thomas and he's no good because he's against my team. That I think both of us we're much more sensitive to the environment of professional football than that. But once you see the dollar amount that he signed for, and then you look, how much is it?
5 years, $100 million.
$96,250,000
to be exact.
Almost.
Average salary is $19,250,000. His guaranteed at signing is $35,648,043.
So he signed his name and guaranteed $35 million. And this boy got a problem. This man has a problem.
I'm not mad about nothing. Look, y'all could have signed me to $35 million over 5 years. Give me his guaranteed over 5 years. I ain't mad about nothing. Wish him. Y'all want some donuts? Let me go run and grab us all some Chubby's chicken. You know they only open at I'm gonna make sure I'm there when they open. Biscuits, because Chubby's biscuits be off. You know what I'm saying? Like, what y'all need? 30 minutes? Come on, bro.
Right.
Oh,
right.
All the shine. You getting all the respect.
Right.
And it's like the things that would normally be a issue for, you know, an elite athlete, you know, the team. I'm doing my job, you know, I'm pulling in my numbers, but we still ain't winning. Our quarterback sucks, but I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. I could see you being upset, but come on, dog. We got 6. We on our way to the playoffs. We top of the division. So what is it? I mean, what is it? It's gotta be your head. It's gotta be your big head. It has to be. And at that point, it becomes disappointing. And if you know Sean Payton, like I know Sean Payton, he's gonna get your ass out of there. And he's gonna keep it rolling and show you what he can tell you.
We're gonna do business. That's what it is. We're gonna do business. And so hopefully, you know, I like what Thomas has brought to the team in the past. And I think that the Saints are a better team when his skill set is available to us in full. He seems to be uninspired, as Chuck said in the chat. And, you know, we'll see. We'll see what it looks like going forward. I don't think Drew Brees is playing next week. Can we say that and be pretty confident that that's probably the case?
I would be upset if Drew Brees played next week. I feel like with the energy that he gave in our post-game interview, the way that we saw him look on the sidelines, yeah, he kept his helmet on. I said this in our just brief conversation pre-show. Like he kept his helmet on, but that was psychological. That was just to let, you know, the 49ers think that he was potentially coming back in, but you could see in his eyes he was out. So I feel like if we rush him back in, one, we're doing ourselves a disservice because we've prepped all week for that to be our QB, just for us to put ourselves in a position where he doesn't last. And then 2, if it's a personnel decision where, you know, Sean Payton is making that call, then you're overextending my QB. I feel like personally we could drop a game because you know Atlanta's coming with everything they got. Atlanta's gonna conjure up all the spirits the ancestors. They're gonna pull up. They're gonna find out some voodoo recipes. They're gonna come down here and do whatever. Go to New Orleans to find out whatever they can do. They're gonna eat all the po' boys they can eat. Gonna try to get all of the good juju and the good vibes that they can get, so they can come in here and try to beat us. So yeah, there's a possibility that we could potentially drop that game, but I'm okay with dropping that game if I make sure that my quarterback is okay. Because if Winston doesn't get out of his head next week, he could potentially set us up for failure.
I think Jameis Winston will be fine. I really absolutely do. Over the next 3 games, you get the Falcons twice. You're going to get them this upcoming week, and then you'll get the Broncos, and you'll get them again. And so, after that, you get the Eagles. And so, let's be optimistic for a moment. Okay. That's about a month worth of football, and then on, 5 days before Christmas, that is, you get the Chiefs. And then on Christmas Day, we have the Vikings, and we end the season with the Panthers. Now, how the division is looking at that point. And, last year I found myself speculating. I'm saying, okay, can Teddy just go 500? If he can go 500, we can make the playoffs. I think when you have as many division games left on the schedule, and you have 4, as of right now, the Saints have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 games left. And out of those 7 games, 4 of those games are against division foes. And I hope I counted that right. I hope I'm not tripping. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's correct. So, and it can't be 4. 2 are against the Falcons, and 1 is against the Panthers. These are familiar opponents that Jameis Winston should be comfortable playing against. That's why I'm emphasizing that he knows what the Falcons personnel is like. He was just in Tampa last year. He knows what Carolina personnel is like. If we can get those 3 games, the Saints are at 10 wins. Can we find for the Saints 3 more wins on their schedule if you don't get Drew Brees back? So let's say you beat Atlanta twice. And I know that's a hard task to ask. They're 3-1 since they fired their head coach and got rid of their GM. But if you can beat Atlanta twice in the next 3 weeks, and you can beat the Panthers at the end of the year, here's what you got left: Broncos, Eagles, Vikings, Chiefs. You're at 10 wins. Can we get to 13? What do you think?
I don't see us sweeping the Falcons. I know I said that about Brady last week, but
yeah.
I don't know what. Can we talk about that game? Like, I don't know what happened. I literally, and I love my squad. And if anybody knows me, they know I'm a rep. And as far as I'm concerned, the Saints are winning every game outside of this show. I try to be realistic on this show, but outside of this show, we win it every game. Like, nobody could see us. It is what it is. But I was sitting in New Orleans with all of my my roots surrounding me, and I still was in complete awe of the clinic that we sent Tom Brady to last week. I did not expect that to happen whatsoever. Are we going to sweep the Falcons?
I'm saying for the sake of argument, I'm with you. I don't know if you beat them next week, but let's give them the homer treatment and say, okay, they were able to do it. They swept the Panthers. We swept the division.
Sweep the division. This is
right.
what this. Okay.
We did it.
So in a perfect world,
right.
We're red and blue.
Right.
We swept the division.
Right.
And now we need
3 more wins. Where are they coming from? With the rest of the schedule, where are the 3 wins coming from?
All that's left is 3 more wins.
Well,
we're not. I can't see us with the Chiefs.
Okay, I agree.
Can't see us with the Chiefs. I think I can get one out the Vikings. I can see a win at the Vikings.
Okay.
Christmas Day. We might be in a festive mood. Knock that out. I can I can take an Eagles. I can take an Eagles win too.
All right. I have an Eagles, a Broncos win.
You definitely winning the Broncos.
Right. An Eagles and a Broncos win. And like you said, we sweep the division. That's probably it. I don't think we beat Kansas City. I just don't. And watch this. I'm gonna be honest. I don't know about the Vikings on Christmas Day.
I don't know either, but I mean, you want to.
Right. I don't know. I don't know. So,
I gotta get to 13, and I'm picking between the Vikings and the Chiefs. I'm picking the Vikings.
Of course. Yeah, I agree with you. So I got, best case. This is my best case scenario for the Saints. Best case. 12 wins. That's my best case.
Well, that was my call at the beginning of the season. 12.
Right. Looks like you could. Now that's best case though. I really believe if we lean on your logic as it relates to the reality that we're not probably going to sweep the division, right? I think the Saints play right at about 500 football for the rest of the year, especially if Drew Brees is out, right? And so let's move forward. Let's say you lose next week against the Falcons. Let's say that happens, right? So 7-3. Let's say you bounce back and you beat the Broncos 8. Then you beat the Falcons on the road because they beat you and you pissed off about it. 9. You beat the Eagles 10. Drop it to the Chiefs. Drop it to the Vikings. And you beat the Panthers to secure the division. I have the Saints winning 11 games. I think that my 11-5, you're 12-4, my 11-5, they're right there. You're kind of okay either way there. But I don't think the Saints, without Drew Brees and giving some credence to what you saw with Jameis Winston and looking at Thomas and that whole thing, I don't know. I mean, that's still a good record. That's a good record.
Okay, so let's play the other side of that, right?
All right.
Looking at Winston, number 1 draft pick, right? Am I right in that? I think I'm right in that.
Yes, he was.
Draft pick, boom. He's elite quarterback. Elite.
Right.
Leading in touchdowns last year. Now, it's debatable that the reason his interceptions happened because he had to get the ball off really quick because his O-line was trash, right? Saints are known for having one of the best O-lines in the league. Okay, so he gets out of his own head. He sits down with Sean Payton for this week. They zone in. Boom. He comes out. He ready. He got the O-line he need to be the quarterback he was supposed to be when he came out the draft, right? Mm-hmm. All right. So now we sweep the Falcons. We sweep them. That's just how that works. Whatever. Then I don't see us dropping to the Broncos. I just don't. I call that. Right? So then we're looking at what? Another Falcons game?
Mm-hmm.
Falcons come back. Let's say they come back. Let's say they're like, nah. Y'all ain't finna do this to us twice. And then we play the Falcons. Do we play them there? Or we play them?
That's on the road. Right.
So we're in Atlanta. Okay. We dropped that game. We pick up the Eagles. How questionable is it for us to upset the Chiefs? Because if we still, let's say Drew, we're sitting Drew down for 3-4 weeks, right? We want to bring Drew back maybe around the Chiefs game. And then when the Chiefs game comes, we don't really feel like he's ready. So now we got Winston in. But Thomas vibes better with Winston. Okay? He decided to get his shit together. So now we got a whole team aligned. Sanders is out there. We getting it in. Kamara's on. And we knock out the Chiefs. I think if we win that Chiefs game, morale is high. Mm-hmm. We lock in. We zone it in on the end of the season. We knock out the Vikings. We knock out the Panthers.
We're going undefeated.
Huh?
We're going undefeated for the rest of the year.
What if?
I mean, hey, look.
We dropped to the Falcons on the road.
All right, okay. All right. So we only lose that one. But, is it possible? Yeah. I mean, this is the guy.
We did not think he was going to win this Bucs game. Neither one of us did. It wasn't just me.
Right.
Neither one of us thought he was going
right.
to
You're right.
Tom Brady, the GOAT.
You're damn right.
Listen, we're not gonna take that away from him. Look, Lamar Jackson beat Tom Brady and still told Tom Brady, "You the GOAT." He said it in the interview. They were like, "How do you feel about beating Tom Brady?" He was like, "It doesn't matter. He's still the GOAT. There's no way to overturn that.
Right.
It don't even matter. That's stupid. Nobody cares that I beat Tom Brady. He's still Tom Brady. You know what I'm saying? So
Right.
nobody thought we were gonna do it, but we were able to knock it out. So Jameis Winston playing Jameis Winston football. And let's just say that the interceptions that Jameis Winston endured last season was because of his O-line. And our O-line eradicates that. I think we could do it.
I mean, look, Teddy Bridgewater came in and won 5.
Yes.
And we look at the prospects that both players were coming out of the NFL or coming out of college, excuse me. Jameis graded higher. There are similarities in the two stories in the sense that they both are looking to have their careers rebuilt by Sean Payton. Could Sean Payton devise a game plan that allows Jameis Winston to be incredibly successful? Yes. The Saints with Drew Brees, I want to emphasize that, put on an absolute clinic against the Tampa Bay Bucs last week. They did that.
They did.
Could that happen against the Chiefs at home? Yeah. I wouldn't. I'm not going to doubt that the Saints wouldn't get up for that appointment. That opponent. They get up for those opponents.
It's not going to be a clinic. We're not going to run a clinic on the Chiefs.
I'll say this. I'm not going to say. I understand. I understand what you're saying. I love Patrick Mahomes. I think he's phenomenal. I hate the Chiefs team. They're a phenomenal team. They're fun to watch. I think Andy Reid is the truth. However, I do also believe that Sean Payton is one of the top 3 coaches in all of football. Top 5, definitely. And so, when you look at a way you talk about motivating a team to rise above their circumstances, Sean Payton made sure that all the Saints players understood that nobody in the world thought you could win that game last week. And I think that he's going to emphasize that messaging to the ball club moving forward. I think he's a great motivator. I think the Saints have really good guys in the locker room. And I think the Saints, if any team, could find a way to do it without Drew Brees. They've been here before. They've been here where people thought you could write them off. They won't do anything, and they still were able to win a division. And so, my thing is right now, you want to win your division. Like, as many wins as we're projecting, you're right. It could flip good, but it could also flip bad. Let's say he's not Teddy Bridgewater. Let's say it's really bad, and I mean Teddy Bridgewater from last year, performance-wise, for the Saints. Let's say it's really bad, and now the Saints only win 2 more games. That gives them 9 wins, and they're probably fighting to be one of the wild cards at that point. And the NFL will have an extra wild card, and they're making all kind of exemptions because of this COVID thing, but. My thing is, I'm looking, and I don't know if you're finding anything as you're looking at the computer. I'm trying to find what's kind of like the average time that players have missed due to some broken ribs. Like, give me an understanding of what we really can be dealing with, because I know they could probably give them a shot. They can give them some extra padding. I get all of that. And I would understand why Drew Brees would do it. Drew Brees would do it because he knows that he's at the end of his career, and he wants to play. That's why he came back. And I think that what you're seeing on his face, or what you saw on his face in the press conference, was, damn, like, I came back. We have a really good record. Everybody's dealing with COVID. Drew, remember how I felt at the beginning of the year when everybody was on his ass about what he said about the anthem, not being sensitive to the feelings of others and understanding their plight. He remembers. So he was on his ass. It's 2020. It's COVID. He's dealing with all of that. Trump lost. So he's dealing with all of that, right? And it's like, damn, here go another thing I'm dealing with. Here go these ribs. So
what I'm not finding. I mean, I have to look a little bit more, but I'm not finding like an average like time out. But what I have found is that the broken ribs are one of the most painful injuries that football players report to have had. So that kind of explains where he was mentally when he was expressing that what he was feeling was unlike anything that he's ever felt in his life. The only thing that troubles me with him is that he's 41. Like,
Yeah.
get up in age, and those injuries hurt a little different, and they impact you a little differently. So, and I'm hoping that they aren't broken. I'm really hoping that they aren't broken. I'm hoping that it's like just a really deep bruise or something of the sort. I'm hoping that there's no like severages or anything where it's, it could be puncturing something, because that is also something that could be potentially happening. But we really want to just keep him in good spirits and keep him in our prayers and hope that it's not as bad as it could potentially be. But from what I'm reading, that is one of the most painful injuries that you can sustain during football.
Without being insensitive, and I'm watching the chat, and I was going to bring this up, and it's probably the best point now to bring it up, as we're about 40 minutes into tonight's show. Chuck, as always, very active in our YouTube chat. The Saints, and I want to. It's hard these days. I think it shows a lack, and I'm not insulting our audience when I say this. I'm hoping that everybody that has a brain, because you could just catch things on YouTube and be mindless and you don't, pay attention. But for those who have a brain, and you're listening to our show, you're watching our show. The NFL and its hypocrisy continues to annoy me. It continues to make me downright, sick to my stomach. And this is not me being a Saints homer. I just don't understand their mindset. And I'll explain something to you from a different angle, because we're going to have people that are so stupid and they've been so polarized in the way that they think about everything that if they hear something that sounds anti the group they're supposed to belong to, you guys can't handle it, right? You watch the NBA, and yes, I understand that their circumstances were much different. The NFL has allowed their teams to handle themselves a little differently, but organizations have the autonomy to make decisions as it relates to how they're going to deal with COVID. But you watch the celebration that LeBron James and company and those coaches had after winning the title, okay? There was a player with the Los Angeles Dodgers, Nick, and I forget the gentleman's name, I believe it was game 6 of the series, and he was pulled off the field because he had just tested positive for COVID. Now, he had been around these guys all day long.
And he came back out for the celebration. That was actually for the World Series.
Right. And he came back out, and there were people that were berating this guy. And this is a sensitive topic. And I think, like most things in life,
I know where you're going, so let me just make sure that I say this.
All right.
He did come back out, and yes, he did go under fire. But let's be very, very clear that after that, 5 people tested positive for the coronavirus after he came back out on the field for the celebration. And his name was Justin Turner.
Okay. Did those 5 people, you don't think that they could have tested positive? And I'm not saying they didn't or wouldn't have. And this is a little different of a show, but there's so much that we're learning. And I hate to be so hard on people, just being human. That I think we should gently have discussions with those who are worthy of working with each other. The Saints are going to be hammered by the NFL. And I read what Chuck wrote. I didn't read it was a first-round draft pick. People like to sensationalize things and say it could be up to a first-round pick. I think the NFL will know better not to try to play with the Saints' first-round pick. But for an organization that you slammed with Bountygate, right? And that was a bunch of BS. You look at the no call when we played against the Rams. Did you say something? I'm sorry if you said something.
I'm looking up stuff.
All right. So you slam the Saints with the no call. You put in the pass interference review, you take it back, right? And you watch the Saints have this celebration. and they don't have masks on. All right. And for me, if you want to find the Saints, fine. If you want to find the players that did that, fine. Do you know who's going to be watching the Saints and caring about what the Saints draft picks are later on? Me and you and other Saints fans. We're going to be the ones that care about that. Why should the Saints organization going forward, us, the fan base, be penalized for the decisions that they're going to make? And I'm not going to sit up here. You know, I have different views, and I'm not going to make my views prominent on this show. But I just don't understand how is that promoting the good thing about just being human or the enjoyment of sports or guys just enjoying themselves. I get it. This is not, and I say it, and I really do get it. I understand. I really do get it. I just have a problem making it cynical. There's a thin line that I think that we can cross where we lose humanity. And I think that finding those guys and taking money from their pockets and continuing to find them, if they want to do that, continue to find them. That's great. Don't take something else from the city of New Orleans. That's how I look at it. Don't take something else from an organization that represents this city, this region that we get behind because those guys chose in that moment to celebrate without masks. Whether you believe they should have it on or not have it on, I'm not getting into that. My point is when those guys are gone, the lack of having that draft pick affects who? The fan base of the Saints. That's what it affects.
I mean, to a certain extent, but it also affects the actual staffing, coaches, players, because they don't have the ability to get the resources that they need in order to be the team that they will need to be next year. I mean, I understand the penalty. I don't think it's that serious. One, I feel like because my brother is in the NFL, I know that they do an extreme and a stringent amount of testing. I personally feel like if they're being tested before the games and they're only in contact with other players who've been tested and confirmed as negative before the games, that it's not really that big of a deal for them to be around each other without a mask if everybody's tested negative. Because if they didn't test negative, they wouldn't be playing. So that is more or less I understand the penalties. Yeah, that could potentially happen. I mean, the Raiders got fined similarly. I don't know about first round draft picks. They lost
a 6th round pick.
A 6th round pick. You know, they were fined $500,000. I think Gruden got like 150K. So I mean, I get the more that it happens and the more egregious that the violations are, I get that. But I think personally, like if we are within NFL personnel and we're testing twice a day. My brother worked for NFL Films. He got tested twice a day. He tested before he went in, he tested when he came out. So if you're testing me twice a day and I'm consistently getting negative results, then I don't understand what's the mask for at that point. But at the same time, they're not inside of a bubble, which is where the NBA was, where, yeah, you're only around us and you're testing every day, but you're only around us. Here, they're going home to their families. They're able to go out to the store. They're able to stop and get whatever they want to get. They want to go get some food. They can do whatever. So, I mean, I don't know. It's really difficult for me. I personally feel like if we're doing regular testing and nobody's coming back positive, then but at the same time, Emmanuel Sanders just tested positive. So it's kind of like, what do you do?
Here's the deal. I think you made a very intelligent point. Without getting into the politics of it, right? Look, they just got finished tackling each other and yelling around each other with no mask on. They just finished doing it. Like they just got finished doing it. And they went into the locker room. These are all the same guys, right? So my thing is whatever the reality is, it's the reality, right? And so to me, this is just another thing that the NFL does that is reactionary. It's driven to a particular fan base. I wouldn't even call it a fan base, a particular viewpoint that I find to be grossly disgusting for the most part. I think Roger Goodell continues to lack leadership. You waited until, and I know I get it. Saints beat the 49ers. But this is all relevant. We're talking about a league that blackballed. They blackballed Colin Kaepernick. Like he won. And people were able to prove that it happened. We knew it happened. This is a league that did that, right? And then after George Floyd, after the explosion of the summer, now we get it. As if it was a new development. So I'm hard on the NFL because I don't need the NFL to be my moral compass. I don't need corporate America to be a moral compass. I know we're not going there, right? I just stay out of it. If you want to say, you know what, guys, we want to encourage that people are wearing masks and that's a responsible image that we as a league want to promote, I have no problem with that. Find those guys, take money from their personal pocket. If they want to pay that to not have a mask on, that's their choice, right? But just as the Raiders, and I understood what you said about the team, but the team is not going to lose any money. The NFL is not going to lose any money from taking the first round draft pick from the Saints or the Saints organization. They're not going to lose any money from that. They'll lose money from the fine, but they won't lose any money from that. They'll make the money, the contract that they get from them, the collective bargaining agreement, the owners, they're still going to make their money. So my thing is what are you really doing? But screwing us again, screwing Saints fans again. Because when the draft comes, the first round comes around, I agree with you. It won't be that egregious. But we've also found that the Saints have been able to make some things happen with 6th round picks, 5th round picks, etc. Why do that to the fan base? Yeah. When the NFL, how they police things, Ray Rice, it's not until the video comes out and they saw the video. Wasn't until the video came out until they had a reaction then. That's why I'm disgusted by them. If it was a league like the NBA, who I feel they do a much better job of understanding progressive culture, understanding how to make what I believe to be strong statements and responsible statements. If it was them, I might have more of an understanding for it. Roger Goodell in the NFL, I ain't got no understanding for them. This ain't got nothing to do with the match for me. They don't have the authority, in my opinion, to look like the good moral guys. That's where I'm at with it.
Like Roger Goodell. I mean, I don't think there's any Saints fan that actually likes or respects anything that comes out of Roger Goodell's mouth. To Chuck's point, Chuck says the Saints need to keep those cameras out of the locker room, which is probably true.
Yeah.
I think realistically, the reason that it's happening right now is because the fans aren't there. The Saints fans aren't in the building. They're not able to partake. And you start taking everything away from us, you lose that engagement that we have with the team because we feel connected to the team. When Kamara does this shit, we hype with him and in front of the TV or on the field, and we don't have that because TD Cantrell said we can't go to the games. So because we can't go to the games, like talking about it, this is how we celebrate. This is where we're coming in to actually connect with the team. So taking it away is like, but if this is where we're gonna end up, then yeah, we probably should just get them cameras out of the locker room. Y'all don't need mind y'all business. Don't worry about what we doing in here.
Very good point. I mean, it really hasn't worked. Look at the last few years, the Saints have released those locker room videos, and you can go back to the season when Mark Ingram was a part of the Saints ball club, the year that we were screwed, by the Rams or by the refs, not necessarily by the Rams or by the refs. It just hasn't worked. So I think that's a very good point that Chuck makes, a very good point that you bring up. We probably just don't need to be bringing people in our locker room. And I understand your point. Saints fans are not there. The culture and the love with the team and the community is very unique, and for whatever reason, we just seem to be unfairly targeted in bad ways with the NFL, whether it's bad calls, pass interference that is not called, pass interference is always called on the Saints. I'm just tired of it. You know what I'm saying? And so, again, if you want to find those guys, I understand. I'm not saying I'm for that. I understand that a business has rules. You work for them. They're your employer. And if they're saying that this is what we want in our workspace, I totally get it. And you're paid a lot of money to abide in those rules. I get it. I also want to make sure those rules don't affect my customers, though. I don't want it to affect the customer fan base. And the NFL just doesn't give a damn. They like to piss off the Saints fan base. And so, yeah.
I don't think we're ever going to get around that. I think the Saints are the black sheep of the NFL. Period. We just are. Because you start to be the underdog and overcome adversity. People don't really like that too much, and that's just kind of where we are. But before we get up out of here, can we talk about how phenomenal our defense has been playing the last 3 games?
Let me ask you a question straight up. I know the answer to this. I gotta let you get it in. We're running up on 6 minutes left in tonight's show. Who your beignets going to? You brought up defense. The defense was phenomenal. There's a particular young man, though, that I know that you were very, very impressed with his game on today. I'm gonna let you say his name. I'm gonna say somebody else. Marcus Davenport continues to impress this season. Obviously Cam Jordan continues to be a problem. And the things that he's doing. That defensive line as a whole, Henderson continues to be a problem on that line. The Saints, the linebacker, Demario Davis, phenomenal. Kawan Alexander, he just joined the squad and they got a chance to play against his former squad. The Saints defense looks to be trending upward. Very, very happy with what they did. But there's one particular player that you said you wanted to give your beignets to. Who that be?
Listen, you know what? I just want to give kudos to my entire team because our special teams even cut up today. Okay, special teams even cut up. But and Dave, we got an INT from Jenkins. Davis made a lot of major plays today, but there was one dude. Dominating the edge, like getting to the quarterback every turn. He was blocking on rush. He was on pass. He was everywhere. He was just all over the field. And then my baby got hurt. I called his name for my beignets in the first half. We hadn't even gotten to halftime. I was like, oh, he got my beignets. That's it. He got my beignets. CJ Jarner Johnson, number 22, that deuce was firing all night long. That's what got my beignets. I pray that he's okay. I should have gone in and looked into what his injuries are, which I will do that while you tell me who gets your beignets. But CJ Garner Johnson is my dog. He is getting all of my beignets. He was all over the field tonight. They called his name I don't know how many times. I lost count. But he was killing off the edge. Like the boy got to the QB before the QB realized he was a QB. Like I didn't even know. Like, oh, okay, I got the ball. I'm supposed to throw the ball. As soon as he realized he's supposed to throw the ball, CJ in his face. I was just done. He gets it. He gets it from me.
He did a phenomenal job on today. Magnificent, to be honest. The young man is showing up and handling his business. You know what? Since you gave it to him and we're going to stay on the defensive side of the ball, and I could go with Malcolm Jenkins. I know he played well today. Patrick Robinson caught an interception that kind of solidified the game. But you know what I'm going to do? 1 sack, 3 tackles for losses, and without having to give my beignets to the same guy that you gave yours to, because he also was, brought that drama today. Demario Davis is having a hell of a year. He's having a hell of a year. I want to give Demario Davis my particular beignets, and let's be real, y'all. We know how many touchdowns he scored today. We get it, right? Alvin Kamara could have the beignets every week right now, like every week. But we're gonna get the boy fat, and we're gonna give him sugar diabetes if we keep giving him these beignets. He gonna get sugar. You know what I'm saying? We don't want him to have the sugar, so we got to shut the sugar around. You know what I'm saying? And so we're gonna sprinkle some of this sugar on other players and keep the momentum rolling for the rest of the squad. And Ms. Neek gives hers to the phenomenal young safety Gardner Johnson. And I'm going to give mine to the veteran, the guy that holds the middle down on that defense, Demario Davis.
Now Chuck is in the comments saying that Harris should get the beignets. Harris, the only reason that I would agree with giving him, he can have a beignet. He can't get his own order. He can't have his own order.
He fumbled the ball.
He muffed a couple points. The only reason that I would give him some is because I was very proud of the way he came back with that angry run. What was it, like 70 yards, I think?
Yeah, 75 yards. Yeah.
Like you could tell that he knew he had messed up And he came right back like, oh no, I'm finna show out. So I will give him that. But our special teams should get their own order of beignets. I think we should do. I think you gave your beignets out. I gave my beignets out. I think we should go half on the order of beignets and give special teams an order of beignets because Callaway came through on both of those muff points, both of those muff punts.
Yes.
Really showed it. He really showed up. Him knowing textbook football and knowing and being cognizant of the fact that contact was made. Okay, ball's loose. Let me go ahead and catch that. Fall on it. I was really proud of Callaway today. Our special teams did their thing today. So you want to go half on the order of beignets for them?
Let's do that. I don't mind that. We could do that and hook them boys up. I just wanted to continue to roll.
Harris will get his beignets, Chuck. He will get a bite of beignets, but he got to share them with the whole special team squad.
He definitely did a good job on today. Next week, Saints have a 12 o'clock start, which is nice. An early game for a change against the Atlanta Falcons. Falcons are 3-1 since the departure of their head coach. Miss Nick, how you feeling? And you know what? Before we do, well, yeah, go ahead. Tell her about how you feel about that game. Do you think we win next week?
I'm always gonna bet against Atlanta. I do not like Atlanta. There's nothing about it. I don't even like peaches. Like I don't want nothing to do with Atlanta. I'm always gonna go against Atlanta. We're always gonna win against Atlanta in my mind. So that's where I'm at.
Okay. Well, for the sake of being different and hoping that I'm wrong. Like I hope that I'm wrong when we beat the Bucs. I think Atlanta comes in next week, and I think the Atlanta Falcons beat the Saints in a very close game by a field goal next week in the New Orleans Superdome. I think the Saints will rally after that, but I think it'll be a struggle next week, and something is just telling me that the Falcons will come in motivated, and they were last year. They were like 1-7 when they came in the dome last year, and beat the Saints. And so, we'll see. We'll see how it all turns out. Were the Falcons off this week, Ms. Negan? If you're looking at that or you're finding that, I don't know who's the Monday night game on tomorrow. Real quick, I'll bring you guys around. Well, now I do know Chicago hosts Minnesota on tomorrow night. So it looks like the Falcons are off headed into this game with the Saints. Real quick, just around the league, just in case you were asleep, you can't find the scores nowhere. I'm going to take care of you before we get out of here on the Sports Talk Nola Network. Make sure that you are following us over on YouTube and showing us love over wherever you digest your podcasting, et cetera, et cetera. We just all over the place. Google the fifth quarter, Jail Lanes with Sneak, Sports Talk Nola, we there. But the New York Giants 27, Philadelphia Eagles 17, Green Bay Packers 24, Jacksonville Jaguars 20, Detroit Lions 30, Washington Football Team 27, Cleveland 10, Houston 7. That had to be a pretty entertaining game to watch. Carolina 23, Tampa Bay 46. Tampa Bay exploded in the second half. That was actually a really close game, and Tampa just blew that thing wide open. Miami Dolphins 29, Los Angeles Chargers 21, Las Vegas Raiders 37, Denver Broncos 12. The Saints should be able to take care of Denver in a couple of weeks. Arizona 32, Buffalo's 30. If you did not see the ending of that game, go find out what happened. I ain't going to say nothing to you. Just you're going to see it. You're going to be like, damn, that was what's up. It's Twitter blew up after it happened. Go check it out. Hail Mary. Just go check it out. DeAndre Hopkins did what he does. Arizona 32, Buffalo's 30. Saints 27-13 over the San Francisco 49ers. The Los Angeles Rams, the nemesis of my Saints, 23. Seattle Seahawks 16. They've now dropped 2 in a row. Pittsburgh continues to be undefeated, 36-10 over the Cincinnati Bengals, led by Joe Burrow. We hope they get that together eventually. And here's a Sunday night shocker. The New England Patriots, led by Cam Newton, who had a hell of a win last week, come from behind win against the Jets. They were winless. I get it, but they still had to come from behind and get that W. They got it done. They win 23-17 over the Baltimore Ravens. That was a Sunday night game tonight. And finally, the Indianapolis Colts, they defeated the Tennessee Titans 34-17. That was a Thursday night game from earlier in the week. So that's a trip around the NFL real quick. Drew Brees undergoes an MRI on tomorrow. We'll see what happens. Ms. Nate, we're going to see what happens.
I mean, fingers crossed. Well, everything will work out well. Bless you, boys. We've always had the real saints behind the saints, so we're gonna be all right. We're gonna be all right. Everything is gonna flesh out. But again, Winston is going to get himself together. I think Sean Payton is. I think he's the GOAT, and I think with what he's done with Drew Brees, like because you really got to think about his record with QBs. When he's brought Drew Brees from the Chargers, where nobody really anticipated Drew Brees being anything, especially fresh off of a shoulder injury. He's turned Drew Brees into a Hall of Fame quarterback. And within a couple of seasons, Teddy Bridgewater came in, went on a 5-streak run, and has gone on to get his money. Now, what he does going forward, it's neither here nor there. However, our QB is a prominent example of what Sean Payton can do, and I am excited to see him tap into Jameis Winston and see how he can bring out the best in him. So I'm confident in my team for next week. Now, I do feel like Atlanta may come back in a couple of weeks and be like, nah, F that. They're not gonna do us like they did the Bucks. Ain't no way. So I feel like that's gonna be their mind state on the next game. This game, not so much. They come into New Orleans, they got to come see us in the Dome. We got a couple fans in there. Maybe we'll have a few more if TD feel good. And, I think we're going to pull next week out. I really do.
I hope so. It'll be good to keep the momentum rolling. Let's stretch this thing out as far as we can. But yeah, I'm going to tell y'all where y'all can follow your boy right now on social media, man. I am King Orleans on IG, J Orleans over on Twitter. Follow your boy. I don't tweet as much. I'm growing into that. It is what it is. But I'm definitely over on IG. So, follow your boy. I'm there. You want to talk Saints. You want to talk NBA. You want to talk a little politics, spirituality, whatever. I'm there to have that conversation. Hip hop, et cetera, et cetera. Let's get it. Speaking of hip hop, Miss Neek, and I know you get ready to shoot it out. Kendrick Lamar made an appearance on Busta Rhymes' album that dropped. What was it last week now? And there are rumors that he has almost like 6 albums worth of material that he could release at any time. I miss homie. It's time for us to hear one of the greats to ever do it. And his presence is missed. So and then Drake, January, Certified Lover Boy, man. January 21st, the GOAT will be dropping that album. Of course, we'll be waiting on that. He got that Nike deal, selling that merchandise, Certified Lover Boy. You can't even keep it in stores. That's how that's going, man. Shout out to OVO Records and the homie over there, man.
Enough of that. But yeah, I actually have a friend who does A&R for TDE, and he told me a couple of months ago that Kendrick was working on a lot of stuff. They have another person. He wouldn't tell me a lot of details, but he said that there was another act that was coming. I'm assuming that's Reason out of Carson, because Reason just dropped a couple of cool little tracks. He has one of my favorites, which is Showstop. So Reason is making some waves out here, and he told me that after the next artist came out, that Kendrick will be showing his face. So I'm hoping that it's at the end of the year and he wraps up 2020, because we need him to wrap up 2020. I think we need him to give us something to kind of go into 2021 with a refreshed perspective. So I'm excited about that. Drake is coming.
Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that.
Here's my thing, and yes, Drake does his little thing with the singing and stuff, but I personally am a Drake rap fan. So the Certified Lover Boy, the vibe that I'm getting from what he's about to drop is gonna be on some real R&B type stuff. So I'm not really too hyped. I know it'll be bangers because it's Drake. That's what he does. It's not really like he hasn't steered away from that since Successful. But
right.
I personally just enjoy Drake when he gets into them bars, and the way that they're pushing this and the marketing around this particular album just seems very like lovey-dovey. It's called Certified Lover Boy. Okay, whatever.
CLB, man, CLB, we all we got. CLB, we all we got.
Well, anyway, we are we are your neighborhood residents for all things Saints after Saints games. I don't know how far after Saints games. It depends on if your boy Orleans gets real sleepy.
Oh, it's like that, huh?
Unless we gotta call you Sleepy J, not Sleepy Joe, but you Sleepy J. You know what I'm saying?
Look, the Saints got all them damn late ass night games. They need to play like civilized people in the middle of the day.
We talked about the schedule, and I said, "Is this gonna be a problem for you? Because you be going to bed pretty early." You like,
whatever, whatever.
So Sleepy J over here,
Yeah.
Sleepy J takes his Red Bull. We'll be here directly after the games, but nonetheless, we will be here to wrap it up, give you our takes, and have that regular chill conversation that you have with your homies. So come and join us. We are over on Facebook, www.facebook.com/Love Sports Hip Hop. You can find out all things Love Sports Hip Hop, all things Sports Talk NOLA, all things the fifth quarter. I'm your girl, Miss Neek. J.R. Lees wants to have those conversations with y'all, but I don't want to talk to y'all. So y'all can't follow me on no social media. I'm not even going to put that out. But come check us out on Facebook, hit us up on Instagram, look at your boy J. Orleans on Twitter, and come back and join us after the Saints game. We will be here next week after that Falcons game. Y'all know I got a lot of ish to talk because I do not like them. Don't let the red hair fool you. I do not like the Falcons whatsoever. So we will see you guys on next week. We have an early game, so I don't think Sleepy J is going to fall asleep.
No, I'm not, but I'm going to tell you this. If we lose next week with your red hair, you have to go dye your hair gold. You got to change your hair color.
You gonna pay for that?
We'll talk about it.
What's Talk NOLA ain't paying yet, y'all. Y'all gotta listen. We talked about this a couple weeeks ago. I don't know if y'all been following. Flights.
We're gonna talk about it.
Sports Talk NOLA ain't taking care of hair and makeup neither. Know that this is all love. This is your girl, Miss Neek. That's your boy, J.R. Leans. This is the fifth quarter, and we are here for y'all every week, and we will be back next week.
Y'all be good, man. We out. Hell of a show, Miss Neek, right?
Show.
Yeah, hell of a show. Y'all be good, man. Y'all, wait up. I'm sorry. One more thing before we let everybody go. Y'all, it's getting serious again. It's not politicizing this. Just be safe. Now, I'm going to say that. Be safe. Do what you have to do.
No, what is it?
What you say?
What is it? What?
COVID-19.
All right, so since he gonna play with y'all, listen, ladies and gentlemen, this is your girl, Miss Neek. As we embark on flu season and the weather gets a little bit colder and we're spending much more time huddled up and spending time with our loved ones, the holidays are coming. You want to be with the ones you love. We're asking you guys to be safe. Be very, very careful. Wash your hands 30 seconds. Wear your mask. Please do your best to stay away from large crowds. And if you feel yourself feeling any symptoms, whether it's a fever or a cough or fatigue or loss of taste or smell, please do all you can to quarantine yourself and get immediate and medical attention. We want you guys to stay alive. We now have new leadership in place, and hopefully there will be much more precautions put into place so that we can get over and through this. But we need you guys to be diligent. So please take care of yourselves so we can come back next week and talk to y'all on the fifth quarter. It's nothing but love. Who that and all that good jazz. We out of here.